we're going to do a serpentine belt replacement. If you're doing a serpentine belt replacement, this is on 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee. If you're doing one on this model, your view probably won't be this great. Your view will look something like this, and there'll be a shroud right here, and you'll be struggling to get in there. So I'm replacing this serpentine belt because I'm replacing the radiator and the hoses and this piece of rubber and fabric. Has got 130,000 miles on it. Why not while I'm here replace it? It's way more than overdue. So I obviously have pretty good access. What I hope is it also gives you a pretty good image of what you're dealing with when your hands are down in there and you can't see as well. So I'm hoping this will help you out. Now this particular car, for some reason, you can see the cross member over the air conditioner is gone, where I would normally expect to see the serpentine belt pattern. But for whatever reason on this vehicle, there's not one. There's not a sticker on here. Generally you'll find a sticker on most cars that shows serpentine belt pattern. If not there, on the radiator cross member, generally up here on the top of the or the underside of the hood. But in our case, we don't have either, and that's fine. Let me tell you, the easiest way to replace the serpentine belt is to keep this in mind. Every serpentine belt, get my new one, new belt, it has two sides. It has a ribbed side and it has a flat side. Every pulley on here, whether it's a alternator, air conditioner, whatever, every one of them has got either a rib side, it has ribs, like you can see maybe here, ribs, and here, coming in on the water pump, no ribs, it's just flat. So if you'll consider that flat goes to flat and rib goes to rib, you can figure out any serpentine belt pattern. If they're available on the internet, Google it up on your smartphone and off you go. But the easiest thing to do really is remember rib, there you go, rib to rib, and flat to flat. Hopefully you can see there's a lot of shade and light. Flat goes to flat, rib goes to rib. As soon as you keep that in mind, a belt can only go on one way. So if you have a picture, great. If you don't, it's no big deal. You can certainly figure it out. Also, anytime you change your serpentine belt, check your idler and tensioner pulley. There are two pulleys on most systems, at least, that really have no purpose as far as driving accessories go. And that's this pulley, which in this case is the tensioner pulley, and in this case down here, this is the idler pulley. Idler pulley's flat, tensioner pulley's ribbed in this case. When we get this belt off, we want to check those. They tend to, bearings wear out over years. Again, this vehicle's got 130,000 miles on it. It's 9 years old. And so, yeah, I expect things to start wearing out, so let's check them, be a little preemptive. So when we get this belt off, we're going to spin those, and basically we're just going to grade them based on the level of noise that the bearings make, and then we'll decide whether or not to replace them. Well, I'm going to get this thing off of here. I'll try to let you watch me take this off. Here's the idler pulley, 15mm socket, and we're just going to lift it, pull the belt free, and let it down. Once the belt's free from there, you can take it free from other locations, and off you go. Let's see if I can get it free from another location first. There we go. All right. So, let's begin to weave it back off of here. All right, and it's loose. I've got the belt loose. Now let's see about putting it back on. All right, with the belt off, I'm trying to keep this thing in the sun. Here's the tensioner pulley. You spin it, it's quiet, not making any real noise. And then down here is the idler pulley, if you can see it. Certainly freer than the tensioner pulley, but quiet. Tensioner pulley's quiet. So we're leaving them. Tensioner pulley and idler pulley are being used again. All right, so we're going to put the new belt on. Now, I don't have a picture of it, so we're just going to do it using the flat to flat and rib to rib concept. And first we're going to put it on down underneath here, and we're going to put it on the flywheel. If we follow our way along here, looks like we can take it against this one. Makes sense. And then we're going to try to bring it down to the water pump. Let's see, over this way. Then we'll bring it down here. Well, let's see. If I can get it under. There we go. Of course, in my case, I could just rerun the video and see, but just want to see if I can do it simply by going with the rib to rib, flat to flat type guidance. So far so good, but hey, we're not done yet. Okay. Let me see here, pull this thing taut. Hey, it looks like it works. That's the way it came off. That's the way it's going back on. So all we got to do is use our ratchet. Again, lift the idler pulley up, the tensioner pulley, slip it on, and off we go. Just a quick wrap up on the serpentine belt replacement. Once you get the belt to where you have excess material hanging over here, and you take your ratchet, put on here, you lift, and then you just have to wrap this around that pulley, release. Do me a favor, as soon as you do, go back particularly to your geared or the ribbed pulleys. Make sure that all of your belt is seated in those ribbed areas quite well. They can occasionally get hung on the edge, and when they do, that belt won't last but a minute. So you want to go around to all those pulleys, particularly those pulleys that are ribbed, and you want to make sure that your belt's properly seated in the ribs. And then all those that are not ribbed, that are flat, like here on the water pump, you just want to make sure that the belt's riding pretty much in the center, also here on the idler point. So, serpentine belt's replaced. You likely won't have this much room, but the same concept applies, and hopefully me having this much room lets you see what you're aiming to do. I hope this helps. All right, confession time on the serpentine belt. This belt will go on more than one way using the old flat to flat, rib to rib rule. Not too many of them will, but this one certainly does. What I had done is I had come off of the power steering pump here, gone down to the water pump, and then back up over the alternator and air conditioner. When I started it up, the air conditioner was squealing like a madman. Whenever I turned off the air conditioner, it ran fine. That's when I realized, in fact, instead of going over the water pump after the power steering fluid, I actually should go to the water pump after going over power steering fluid and the alternator, then down to the water pump down there, and then back up to the air conditioner. So the rule generally works, doesn't necessarily work with everything, but hey, we're gonna have some kind of rule. So no problem, fixed, nothing hurt, no harm, no foul. So and by the way, I did do this while the cowl was on. I used my 15mm down here on the tensioner pulley. It was no problem to move the belt around. So again, don't take the front of your commander apart and to try to do this. Just do it where it is.